Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Yah's creation. It's a Monday. Yeah, the 9th of February, 2026. Super Bowl hangover, I think everybody got. Oh, there's a big hangover for a lot of people. Oh.
You won't be trusted anymore.
And when I say a Super Bowl hangover, I don't necessarily mean from alcohol. No, I don't. Anyway, welcome to the Monday edition of the WTF Reports. I'm your host, Dave vonKleist, with the audio receipts. Yeah, with the facts, WTF. And if those facts make you exclaim WTF, well, then so be it. All right, well, let's see. Take a deep breath here, step back a bit. I got to tell you, every Sunday, I hang out at the VFW here in town, and every Sunday we have a pool tournament. And so it's just a friendly thing. A bunch of the locals here get together, and we have brackets and stuff like that. And so I hadn't really planned on really paying much attention to the Super Bowl. I mean, it was, I'm up here in the Northwest. A lot of people are Seahawks fans. So, yeah, it was on there, but I wasn't really paying that much attention. And but anyway, I remember at one point, sometimes the cameras will show you some of the big celebrities that are sitting in the audience there that are at the stadium. And at one point, the camera zoomed in on John Legend. And somebody out went, pedo! I said, oh, okay. Oh, and there's Adam Sandler. Oh, pedophile! People was, oh my goodness, people are aware. They're watching what's going on. And anyway, and as far as the actual halftime show, I didn't really see that. But, Bad Bunny did his thing. And I'm not quite sure, there are some people that are posting translations because he sang everything in Spanish. And I don't know whether I should believe some of these translations or not. But the ones that I read, the translation of the lyrics were really gross. They were disgusting. And anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there because, I'm not a big sports fan. Yeah, I watch it peripherally. When I was a younger man and I lived in New England, I follow the Red Sox. I follow the Yankees. I follow the Patriots, I wasn't a big, I never went to I think I went to maybe 2 Red Sox games. But anyway, I've never been a big jock. So I can't relate to these people who strip themselves half naked and paint their body their team colors and go out there. I mean, that's the way I see it. And I don't mean to insult all the fans out there. I'm not saying you're an idiot, but your priorities are out of whack. That's all. But anyway, I just wanted to point that out because there are some people out there. I was really surprised. Somebody out there is going, pedophile. Yeah, oh my gosh, because there's so many of them. So many of them out there. Anyway, I'll get back into that particular subject in a couple of minutes here, but I found got a couple of things I wanted to touch on, and then we'll circle back to that particular issue. You folks, regular listeners, you know that for years and years, going all the way back to the 90s, Joyce and I were trying to expose the chemical and biological experimentation that was being done on our troops. And most recently, a couple of months ago, and I've got the audio clip in here. I neglected to pull it up here, but RFK Jr. was at a dinner, and he was talking about how the COVID virus had been designed to target specific individuals, basically Caucasians and black people. And they also went on to say that there are certain groups of people who were pretty much immune or, resistant to this bugaboo. And those were the Chinese and he specifically said the Ashkenazi Jews. Now that led me to say, okay, so they are designing viruses or biological weapons that target specific ethnic groups. And to that, of course, I have referred to numerous times the document from 1994, The Revolution in Military Affairs and Conflict Short of War, written by Stephen Metz and James Cavett. And again, that came out in July of 1994. And in there, on page 9, and I've quoted this many times, I'm going to quote it again, and I got a darn good reason to. And I read on page 9, it says, certain biotechnical weapons considered by some to violate the Biological Warfare Convention, to which the United States is a signatory, also may transgress American values regarding appropriate means. Most Americans would not support the use of a weapon designed to target only a specific racial or ethnic group in anything less than a war for survival of the nation. Could the government and military of this multi-ethnic republic face charges that it was developing or using a weapon targeting Africans, Jews, Koreans, Hispanics, etc.? Okay, I'm going to stop there. You're getting the general gist of this, right? Again, this is 1994. Well, you know what? I was shocked because I found an audio clip that I had never heard before from none other than Frank Zappa. Yeah, Frank Zappa, Mothers of Invention. And this audio clip was from an interview that he did 10 years before the U.S. Army War College put this document out. He was talking in 1984 in this interview. Well, I'll let you hear it. Here it is. Again, Frank Zappa. He was a brilliant individual. Listen to this.
And the purpose is to rid the planet of certain people. I believe that AIDS in reality is not a natural accident. It's not a natural disease that just sort of evolved. Somebody cooked it up. I think that it's something that either escaped from a genetic engineering laboratory or something that was manufactured on purpose in a genetic engineering laboratory to somebody's specifications. I also believe that all the warfare of the future will be conducted with these biological agents. Because now that gene splicing is a thing that can be done, it is feasible to consider the preparation of certain diseases which will kill only specific races, nationalities, or people with certain interests. Because you can tailor the disease to attack certain things in certain categories. For example, there are diseases now which affect only certain types of people. Tay-Sachs disease, which affects certain Jewish people. Sickle cell anemia, which affects black people. If you want to narrow it down and carry it to ridiculous extremes, I could see somebody in an American laboratory or maybe even in a Swiss laboratory making a disease that would kill only Iraqis or only Iranians or only Libyans or only Russians. Let's look at the world the way it really is. Government is a joke. Governments don't do anything. That's like a cardboard cutout that hides where the real machinery is. The world is a place that does business. The world is run by multinational businesses that mostly sell weapons to each other. And then you have sugar business, oil business, coal business, business. And when the guys who run these things say jump, all governments jump. It's foolish to consider the possibility of nuclear war because from a business standpoint, it's impractical. It stops all business. So, the way you have to look at it is the chances are much more likely that the sales will continue of missile delivery systems, but what will be in the warheads will not be things that destroy real estate. It's much more practical to think of missiles going someplace and putting out chemicals or microbes that enable the one party to subjugate the other party by controlling its labor force while leaving the buildings intact.
Wow, that's pretty amazing stuff, don't you think? Yeah, it is. I was shocked when I heard that. So, I think that Mr. Zappa was basically onto something a lot sooner than most of us even knew about this. I was, like I said, I was absolutely shocked. But anyway, I wanted to throw that out there. There's a couple of other issues that I want to get to, and I will circle back to this issue about pedos. They've permeated our society. I will get to that in a couple of seconds. However, I wanted to play this audio clip here from the Arizona Republican National Committee chairwoman, Liz Harris. Now, she... and
the purpose is...
Okay, well, that wasn't supposed to happen. Here we go. Okay, let me see. Liz Harris. Okay, now she had something to say about what's going on with TPUSA. Yeah, I think that's what this is. Let's give this a listen here.
The other very delicate thing we have going on is all this stuff with Israel. Now, Thaler is Jewish. Breger is Jewish. Like, when I say Jewish, I mean, like, not, they're very Jewish, meaning very, Bev Goldstein, like, there's so many names I can throw out that I do believe when we look at Turning Point and we look at all of this, I do see Mossad. I see.
Whoa.
There's so many other things where I'm connecting dots.
Okay, I'm going to pause this for a second because I want to clarify. There is no condemnation from myself or anybody that I know who are going to condemn the Old Testament Jews, the Jews that deal with the Torah, because they have the same God as the Christians. The same God as Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They have the same prophets, the same 10 commandments, the same basic principles. Of course, where it departs is where the New Testament comes in, and the corruption that had happened to the Pharisees, and that they were no longer representing the values that were laid down in the Old Testament. And again, I've pointed out numerous times that the motto for the Mossad and the IDF, which is what Ms. Harris was referring to, the motto sounds more like a commandment. Okay, I quote, this is the Mossad motto, and I have every reason to believe that it's a motto for the IDF as well. And I quote, "By means of deception thou shalt do war." Now, that sounds like a commandment. And that one motto commands their military to break 2 of God's commandments. So are they really representing the Jewish people? No, I don't believe so. They're representing an entirely different group of people, the Talmudics, okay, who are not Jews. They claim to be Jews. They wrap themselves in the flag with that star on it, which never really represented the Jews. If you go all the way back, it was the menorah that represented the Hebrews. But anyway, I digress. The point is that, like it says in Revelation 2:9 and 3:9, there are those who claim to be Jews, but they are not. And Jesus said in John, I believe it was 8:44, he says, you were the son of the devil or whatever. You were a liar. And so the point is at least they're consistent. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. This is not condemnation of all Jews. This is the condemnation of the imposters that claim that they are Jews, but they are not.
I think Alex Jones is controlled by them. Charlie Kirk's controlled by them. Steve Bannon. This is... I can't believe nobody's killed me. I really can't. I have no idea why.
Because God is protecting right now. There's a lot of people that I'm surprised are not dead right now, but nobody gets to do anything unless God gives it permission.
I'm with you, Liz. I mean, I've already had people show up to my door from what I've exposed, but I'm still alive. We're meant to be alive.
Mm-hmm. There's a reason that everybody's surviving this whole thing. And then there's, to follow through with that, there's a former CIA agent by the name of John Kiriakou who made the following statement. Here it is.
The Israelis, if they want to kill you, they won't like just do a close-in hit. They'll blow up the entire city block where you live. They'll kill 1,000 people.
Okay, I'm going to pause it right there. Isn't that the methodology that's been used for the past 2.5 years in Gaza? We have to get Hamas. They're in tunnels. So they're going to blow up the whole city, blow up the schools, blow up the hospitals, blow up the infrastructure, blow up this, blow up that. And they legitimize it. Now, again, I've used this analogy before. We've heard about a lot of school shootings. So if there's a shooter in a school, using their philosophy, you would blow up the entire school to get the shooter. That does not make sense. And it doesn't make sense for them to do what they're doing in Gaza either. Anyway, let's continue with this clip.
Just to get you. And they don't care.
They don't care.
Then they say, what are you going to do about it? You're going to go to the International Court of Justice?
Do they really do this?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Did you ever interact with them?
Yes.
And how did you find them to be?
Miserable.
Okay, that's former CIA agent John Kiriakou. And he's basically spelling it out. This is the methodology that is being used by these evil people. And anyway, I wanted to throw that out there because we have to get a perspective of what they, it doesn't make any difference what you believe. It doesn't make any difference what I believe. What matters and what makes a difference is what they believe. And they got some really screwed up values. I'm sorry, but this is the way it is. And by the way, did you notice in the opening ceremony of the Olympics, if anybody was watching, when the Israeli Olympic team was introduced and came out into the stadium, they were booed by the entire stadium. Yeah, the whole world knows what's going on. And I find it really interesting, that the UN committee refused to allow Russia to play in the Olympics. But they allowed Israel and the United States to participate and to compete in the Olympics. I found that really interesting. What did Russia do to be banned? That's because of Ukraine, You know what? Yeah, Putin, by the way, there was something posted here that he went in and they were rescuing children from Ukraine to pull them out of the trafficking. Yeah, and that's why they're going after Putin. So, now, the mainstream media is trying to I couldn't believe this when I saw it. They're trying to say that Jeffrey Epstein was working with Russia. Oh, come now. Okay, where did you get that story from? Dan Bongino? Come on now. I'm not going to believe that garbage. But anyway, so Israel gets booed out from the stadium. And then did you notice when the torchbearer came and they lit this thing, it looked like a wreath? And once the whole thing lit up, it was an upside-down 5-pointed star. Upside-down 5-pointed star. Now, for those of you who know, if you know, you know. Okay, and granted, the points themselves were somewhat rounded, but there was it was a pentagram. There's no doubt about it. Anyway, I'm just pointing this stuff out. Okay, let me see. What else have we got here? Oh, yes. Massey. No wonder Trump's so PO'd at Thomas Massey. Here's a statement that he made in regard to the files. Oh, and we'll get into the files momentarily. Listen to this.
These files implicate billionaires and friends of his and political donors that he's trying to protect. And Epstein also had close ties to our own intelligence agencies and Israel's intelligence agencies. That's why there's so much effort in trying to stop this. And I do believe they'll try to stop it somewhere else. And that's going to backfire on them too. So the president.
Interesting. And by the way, as we speak, members of Congress are allowed to, right now, they are in Congress and they are going through a lot of the files that have not yet been revealed. Okay, so they said, what was it, 3.5 million documents were revealed in this latest release? Well, there's another 3.5 million files that are supposedly even more damning, if that's possible, than the files that have already been released. And of course, there are many, many, many internet sleuths that are going through these files, and they are posting on social media not just what the files are about, but their shock, the absolute gobsmacked, mind-blowing, explosive information that many of these people, they just can't handle it. They just can't handle it. So, anyway, and as people become more and more aware of this, and I've said it on this program numerous times about climbing the ladder of success. Yeah, it doesn't make any difference if you're in the private sector or the public sector. If you're climbing that ladder of success and doing all the right things to be a successful person in your vocation, eventually you come to a particular rung on that ladder that's going to require that you compromise your principles and your morals. And unless you're willing to do that, you're not going to go any higher on that ladder. That's just the way the system is. Well, I find it really interesting that on the Sean Ryan show, this was a topic of discussion and how people get trapped. Listen to this.
Ready? I think our country is occupied. I think most of our politicians are beholden to other forces.
Do you think they even know that?
Oh, yeah, they do.
Oh, yeah.
All of them?
It would be hard not to.
Do you feel like the caliber of person that's going into politics is lower caliber than before?
I think they're opportunists.
You think they go in as opportunists?
I think many of them do. I think many of them go in with all the right reasons and then get corrupted. I have a friend in Atlanta that is running. And he asked, hey, I'm running, right? I'm the challenger. I can use funding. Can you help out, right? I said, I'd love to. But I said, as a friend, I would hate to see you win. Because if you win and you go there, you will become dirty. You can't get around it. You will need to make deals with the devil. And it starts with a small one, and then a bigger one, and then a bigger one. And eventually you get 4 or 5 years down the road, you're like, I'm bought. I can't help it. I did it for all the right reasons. But now I owe this person that because I agreed to that, and I owe this person this because I agreed to this. And I don't think either of those are right, but I have no choice.
You're trapped.
You're trapped.
Yeah, the road to hell is paved with the best of intentions, And what are the tools that are used to trap people with the best of intentions?
Bribery, coercion, blackmail.
Bribery, coercion, and blackmail. Just like you were hearing a little while ago, some of these people are saying, I'm surprised they haven't killed me yet. And again, I've seen this firsthand. I remember back when Joyce and I were traveling around the country. We were in Colorado, and one of the senators was there, and Joyce flat out asked him. She says, "You've been on these committees. Here's the Senate report. You know what's in this. Why aren't you helping our veterans?" And his response was, "Because I have a 15-year-old daughter who I want to make sure has a sweet 16th birthday party." That's how they work this. This is the kind of people, the kind of evil that you're dealing with. And yeah, it is about bribery. Some people are bought off. Sometimes it's coercion. If you don't do this, we'll break your legs. Or we'll break your son's legs. Or, yeah, we've got video of you with that little girl, and we'll release that unless you do what we want. Bribery, coercion, and blackmail. That's the way it works. Anyway, okay, I'm going to take a quick break, and then we're going to get into the gobsmacked, mind-blowing revelations that a lot of normies are unfortunately going through right now because they're finding out that everything that they thought was a conspiracy theory is actually reality, and they can't handle it.
Get More Tank will save you money every month on gas. Get More Tank is a tablet with active ingredients that adds big mileage to every tank. Made in America, the Get More Tank formula is used by trucking companies and heavy industry. Now the Get More Tank formula is available to you. Get More Tank works in any gas or diesel engine, cleans your engine, lowers emissions, and you'll feel improved engine performance every time you step on the gas. Get More Tank works for cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles, four-wheelers, mowers, and blowers. Hey, if you got an engine, then Get More Tank. Contractors, electricians, plumbers, painters, and lawn service companies, Get More Tank will save you money and extend the life of your engines. If you're an owner-operator running your big rig around the town or across the country, Get More Tank will save you money too. If you're a farmer, all of your equipment can use Get More Tank. A 5-pack on sale at GetMoreTank.com for just $22.22 plus shipping. Use the promo code REDPILL101 and get 10% off. Save your money, save your engine, save the earth at GetMoreTank.com. Get More Tank is EPA registered, doesn't void warranties, results vary.
And you can get more tank by visiting our website. I encourage you and implore you to do so. The website is TheWTFReports.com. The WTFReports.com. And you click on the sponsors page, it'll take you down to a window where you can click on the Get More Tank and find out all the specifications and details on how and why this fuel catalyst works. It cleans your engine, gives you more power, and it's cleaner for the environment. Your emissions go down, and the biggie is that your mileage will increase. Depending upon your model, make, and year of vehicle and your driving habits, you'll see anywhere between 15 and 20% increase in your mileage, which means money in your pocket. Doesn't make sense for you to not use this stuff. So go to the website, The WTF Reports. Click on the sponsors page. You'll get 10% off. So for $20, you get 5 tablets, and 1 for each tank of gas. You'll figure it out. If you're getting 20% better mileage, that means your 5th tank is free. So it doesn't make sense not to use this. Go to our website, TheWTFReports.com, and get more tank. Okay, it's 32 minutes past the hour, whatever hour you're sitting in. Again, I'm Dave vonKleist. These are the WTF reports. And now we're going to start exploring how people's heads are exploding across this country and around the world. Because, 5 years ago or 6 years ago, I remember when the Pizzagate and the Frazzle Drip issues were coming out. And people were saying, oh, no, that's conspiracy. That's crazy. How dare you even suggest that people would be doing that? That's disgusting. Yeah, I hate you. I hate you. You're wrong. Well, those are the same people that were wearing a mask by themselves in the car. But a lot of these people now, they're all of a sudden, they're either silent or they're screaming. There's no middle ground. And there's one girl who posted the following. I don't know what this girl's name is, but she's one of many people who have been posting on social media their outrage, their shock, their disgust. Here she is.
Yeah, I'm really sorry, Professor. I'm so sorry I didn't turn in that activity. I know it was really important that I learn about Punnett squares, and I'm sure it was really informational, and I would love to get that done. But unfortunately, we all just learned as a species that every single important person in the last 50 years or so is a cannibalistic pedophile. Do you hear what the fuck I just said? Did that register at all? All of your celebrities, all of your politicians, all of your multi-million and billionaires, they're fucking and eating kids. They're eating kids. They're eating kids. They're eating kids. How the fuck is nobody upset? They're eating children. Not just Weird Dan down the street. The president. Several presidents. Not just of this country, of others. They are kidnapping. They are systemically selling children into sex slavery and then cannibalizing them. Are you listening to me? Are you listening to what the fuck I'm saying? We pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, one nation under God, indivisible with liberty and justice for all. But all the people that have over $1 billion are sacrificing babies to an ancient God. I am not suicidal. My mental health is fine. I have a loving family and a great support system. I am not going to hurt myself or anybody else. But you need to fucking open your eyes. Oh, it's just a lot to handle. Well, yeah! Because every important person and people you've never fucking heard of are raping and eating kids!
Tell me how you really feel. Well, I applaud your passion, young woman. I really do. And my heart goes out to you because people are absolutely shocked. And again, my personal awakening to this particular topic goes back about 30 years. I learned about this shortly after the Oklahoma City bombing when I befriended Ted Gunderson. And for you regular listeners, you know the history. He and I spent many hours. We were at speaking engagements together. We were oftentimes at the same hotel. So after the event was over, we go back and get a bite to eat and have a drink and sit and talk for hours. And he blew my mind. And the thing is that I received confirmation when Joyce and I were traveling around the country and meeting with veterans, and they were giving us plain manila envelopes with very sensitive documentation, some of them having to do with the MK Ultra programs involving kids. That's right. They were abducted into these programs. They were turned into either assassins or suicide bombers, but the overwhelming majority of them were brought into sex slavery. And that's where my heart broke. That's where my head exploded. And that goes back to the 2000s, early 2000s. So my heart goes out to all the people out there right now who are just now starting to accept the idea that this is the reality of our world. And it's disgusting. And it's not just the people in power. People say, oh, it's Jeff Epstein and all of his cronies and stuff like that, and it's princes and emirs and elected officials and stuff like that. No. They are the consumers. Consumers of what? Consumers of the trafficked individuals. Now the question is, where do these trafficked individuals come from? Do you think that Epstein goes out there and grabs these people himself? Hell no. Little slap upside the head with some reality. Listen to this.
I think y'all are missing the big fucking detail here. Like, y'all are focused too fucking hard on all the big people.
That's right.
I get it. We should get them.
Yep.
But they didn't go snatch our kids themselves. They had help.
Yes, they did.
From the hospital, from the judge, from the sheriff, from the deputy, from an inmate, from a teacher, from a CPS worker.
That's right.
From an employee, from a neighbor. They had help. I think y'all are...
Mm-hmm. Yes, they did get help. And it is the little people, if you will, that are involved with this. And I got to tell you, I live up here in the Northwest, and we don't have a whole lot of rail systems in this country, but one of the systems runs through Northwest Montana, and I can't help but think when the railroad rolls through here, I can't help but think, are there any trafficked children on any of these containers rolling through town? Any? None? Some? A lot? A few? Something to think about. And some people don't want to think about that. I understand that. It's too ugly. It's too horrible. But I got to tell you, there are so many people involved in this. And it doesn't help when you've got people in government that are protecting the offenders. Now, there's a representative in Colorado by the name of Scott Bottoms, and he was just talking about a bill and what's going on in the state of Colorado. This should make you sick to your stomach. And I'm sorry, I know people say this is politicizing it, and it should not be politicizing. This has got nothing to do with Republicans or Democrats. However, it does seem that some of the liberals there are doing everything that they can to protect the pedophiles. Listen to this.
These are the times that I am discouraged about my job as a representative, and also just what happens here at the Capitol. We sat in a committee all day discussing whether or not somebody that buys little children, these are 2, 3, 4, 5-year-old kids, and they buy them for sex, that we tried to get a bill through, Representative Bradley sent one through, that was going to put these buyers in jail. Right now, most of the time, they get off on probation. Almost all the time, they get off on probation after buying a child and raping a little child. And we tried to say, well, they need to at least serve a minimum of 4 years. And then we sat and listened to the Democrats fight against this bill, fight against putting these people in jail, and came up with all kinds of reasons, including that these buyers are victims themselves.
Wow.
This is very discouraging, and it's also very disgusting for me that they would actually defend this. And then they voted completely along party lines. The Democrats voted 100% that they did not want to put these pedophiles in jail. They defended the pedophiles.
Unreal.
This is why it's so difficult sometimes to do what we do around here. We know we're on the side of right. We know we're on the side of morality. And we get shot down by, I do not understand the thought process behind this, but we do get shot down. This is why I would encourage you to do a few things to help us with this. First, if you believe in prayer at all, please pray. We are fighting truly dark forces here. This is not okay. This is evil stuff that we're dealing with. And if you have the ability to come up and testify on bills or anything like this, please do so. Your voice is very important to what we're trying to accomplish around here. We are the minority, but with you, we become a powerful force.
Yes, that's true. And he's absolutely right. This is, and there can be no doubt about it, a spiritual war. And I've said it so many times, doesn't make any difference what you believe. It doesn't make any difference what I believe. It's what they believe. And they believe in Lucifer and Satan and everything that is evil in this world. And the only way that you can defeat this, if this is a spiritual battle, which I know it is, and many people are saying the same thing, then that means we have to put on the armor of God. We have to move forward without fear. We're told 365 times in the Bible, do not fear. Fear is the opposite of love. And that's how that's how goodness is defeated, is out of fear. We must not fear. We must put on the armor of God and stand in the light. And you know what? It was pointed out that there are so many more of the good people than there are of the evil people. And we have to start they say, think globally, act locally. Keep in mind that if we stay focused on Epstein and all of the biggie, Hollywood stars and rock and roll stars and politicians and princes and emirs and business people, members of Congress, members of the Senate, well, you know what? Like you just heard a little while ago, those kids come from somewhere, okay? And they come from your local community. Your local community. We have to start looking, we have to look locally. I don't know what else to say. Anyway, more and more people are really getting really disgusted with this situation. We have darn good reason. Let me see. BethO'Leary posted the following as far as this pedophilia thing is concerned. Listen up.
Enough is enough. With everything coming out with the Epstein files, the more I investigate, the more I dig, the more I find out, the more I feel sick that we are paying 40% of our income to these demonic monsters who are using children for satanic ritual abuse, who are torturing them, draining their blood like vampires, literally, and eating them. This is not a nightmare. This is not a movie. This is not a conspiracy. This is all coming out in the Epstein files. We have former presidents, heads of state, secretary of state, Hollywood, big bankers, big tech, almost in every corner of our society, these monsters are hiding and continuing to do this. I mean, I honestly thought that I said when I was going into this, looking at the Epstein files and reading them and investigating them, I honestly thought that the bar was already pretty damn low. I mean, it was in hell. But this is the deepest pits of hell. The depravity. No human mind, other than if they were possessed by demons themselves, which they clearly are, could think of these things to do to these children. Like, why? Other than evil. There's no other reason. And as an American citizen, especially as a Christian, we have the God-given responsibility to do something about this. We don't have the luxury of turning a blind eye to this anymore.
Correct.
Or we never should have. But we don't have the luxury of saying, I can't deal with this. I don't want to see this. How do you think these kids felt? They literally wear shoes made out of baby skin. They sacrifice them to Baal and Moloch and others. That's their God. And they do that to remain in control and power. And for Hollywood to remain famous and influential at the cost of our children, to innocent babies that they are breeding for this purpose. Not only are they kidnapping them through the CPS system, through God knows what. I mean, the government is much more involved than you would ever even imagine. And it's much worse than you even know. And I'm concerned that these people are still redacting these emails. As much as we know, it is time to unredact them. Everyone keeps talking a big game about, we're going to unredact them, we're going to read them out loud. No. They need to actually be forced to do that. Because they are domestic terrorists. The enemy is within, and they are getting away with this. And we have a responsibility to do something about it, because if we don't, they're going to do it forever. And it could be your child. I mean, think about it. Especially if you're a parent, you have a job to protect these children and to hold these people accountable. I don't care who they are. I don't care what side they're on. This is not about politics. This is about truth versus evil, deep rot. The most evil thing that we could ever even imagine is happening. And we have a responsibility to do something. So what are we going to do?
So what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Let me see here. So I would suggest we get ourselves, roll up our sleeves and get involved somehow. Start paying attention. We've got to get our priorities straightened out. Now, I know that with the Super Bowl and all that, are you aware of what goes on in some of the tunnels underneath these huge stadiums? That was something that Ted Gunderson and I talked about, and I was shocked. I was horrified to find out what goes on underneath some. I'm not going to name which particular stadium we were talking about, but it didn't make any difference because they're going on underneath in a lot of these stadiums in the tunnel systems. Let's just say that if you win the game, you will be rewarded handsomely. Yeah, there are prizes. There are prizes. You win the game, you get to have this little... that type of thing. That's going on. It's been going on for a long, long, long time. As a matter of fact, there's more and more social media influencers and podcasters out there, one of which is Andy Frisella, and I had to edit the heck out of this. He's got a little bit of a potty mouth, but he's making good sense. This is Andy Frisella. Here he is.
We're going to all have to answer for what we did in this situation. Or didn't do. And I am not willing to stand at judgment and say, oh, yeah, well, I was too afraid. I was too afraid to stand up for little children. I was too afraid to stand up for women. I was too afraid to stand up against torture. And by the way, if we can actually unify around this, then we can fix all the other shit, too. The taxes and the oppressive financial system and all the other shit needs to be fixed. So the men in this country need to pull their fucking heads out of their asses, stop bickering, stop fighting, stop destroying each other, stop trying to ruin each other's reputation, put all that shit aside. We come back to it. Fuck your t-shirt sales, fuck your sticker sales, fuck your personal brand. We can all get together and we can say this is fucking wrong. And that's what needs to happen. And it needs to happen right now.
It does. It needs to happen right now. Yeah, I took out those F words. I sort of missed the S words, but you get the general gist of it. But that's not all he said. He went on to say the following.
There's 125 million fucking men in this country. There's 600 of them. Okay? They understand that. We do not understand that. Once we understand that and we can unify our voices, they get scared.
Yeah.
We need to fucking scare them.
Bro, that's why they never allow it to be too good for too long.
That's right. That's why they pump us with division. That's why they pump us with fear. That's why they pump us with all of this identity politics. That's why they dilute nationalism, making it like, not cool to be proud to be from America, right? Like, all of this is designed to keep them from accountability. Yeah. And then if we look at it now, it really makes sense as to why for the last 15 years they've started to normalize sex crimes against children slowly and surely to the point where we have people in Europe in the government saying that kids have the right to consent to who they have sex with, no matter how old they are. Okay, so they're saying legitimately in Congress, we covered it on the show many years ago. We have people in Spain saying, and she's not the only one, that 11-year-old kids can decide to have sex with whatever adult they want. Okay, this has been going on for years, and we've looked at the propaganda of being soft on these pedophiles. Bro,
you get longer in jail for weed than you do for
that's what I'm saying.
Shit with kids.
That's what I'm saying, and that's that along with the delivery to the public of AI was all designed to cover their ass
to get to this point because they knew it was coming.
Correct.
They knew it was
coming.
Yes, and it is true. There are people doing harder time in prison for smoking a joint than for raping a child. Let that settle in. And when does it stop? How does it stop? I will tell you. It will stop when every red-blooded, God-fearing American gets up and says, not no, but hell no. And starts, like I said, think globally, act locally, because I guarantee you that there are pedophiles in your town. That's right, in your town. There is no escaping it. So there are folks out there, what they call themselves the pedo hunters or something like that. I think what we need to have is a nationwide effort where people come together in their community, in their town, in their village, in their city, whatever, and they say, okay, we're going to track these monsters down, and they will face justice. And the sad thing is as you just heard, in certain states, pedophiles are protected. They don't face justice. Like I was saying, Representative Bottoms from the state of Colorado, I played the clip a minute ago. Senator Bottoms was saying, yeah, these people get let off with a light sentence. They get off with probation after raping a child. This is disgusting. Okay, let's go to the phones. Hello, caller. Okay, let's see. That looks like Cynthia. Hello, Cynthia. How you doing?
Oh, pretty good. I have tried to bring to people's attention that some research out of Canada, published in 2015, indicated that there is a toxic exposure during the prenatal experience, when you're a fetus, that appears to cause changes in your physical anomalies and so that there's a prenatal origin of pedophilia. When they compared men who had been convicted of crimes against pre-adolescent children as compared to men who had convicted of sex with teenagers, there were physical differences that indicated a toxic exposure early in the prenatal experience. And so I want to encourage the radio hosts that to get together and let's start interviewing some of the researchers to see if they had any ideas about what chemicals might have been the cause.
Well, I covered this 30 years ago because I've been screaming from the rooftops about atrazine and bisphenol A and prions and all the other additives in our food and in our environment that have a direct effect on hormones. And I called that out 30 years ago. I said, if we don't clean this stuff up, what's going to happen in the next generation or two? And here we are.
See, it's the problem is there, but for the grace of God, goes your children because of something a woman, the mother was exposed to during pregnancy. And of course, there is no excuse except that if you think about it, most teenagers begin experimenting with alcohol. Yeah. And that is inhibitions and changes your judgment. And we tried doing away with alcohol. It was called prohibition, and all it did was fuel the rise of organized crime. Right? So we have to have a strategy where the chemicals are identified and the mothers are helped to avoid those chemicals, and the chemicals are removed from our environment totally. I personally had a father who became psychotic in his mid-30s while he was a chief bosun's mate on a U.S. destroyer. So I became aware eventually that there were farm chemicals that could have caused this problem, but the doctors were not aware. The corporations will pull their stuff off the market, not tell anybody. But when you have an exposure and the evidence is not there until years later, evidenced by behavior that would only show up after adolescence or later, it's much harder to find and identify the chemicals. Agreed.
But this is why, this is why I was saying, 30 years ago, we have to remove all that crap because now you have to retrace your steps, and it's very, very hard because you don't know which one of these chemicals or whatever was the cause of the problem. The same thing with the Gulf War, the first Gulf War. Our troops came back and they were sick, and they had a whole range of different problems because they were exposed to this chemical, this biological agent, that biological agent, experimental vaccines, prostaglandin bromide pills, So when they had all these problems, the doctors couldn't pick out any one particular cause because they were exposed to a whole bunch of different things. So they ended up saying, oh, it's all in your head. You got PTSD. Just admit that you're a latent homosexual. Go get a kitten. And by the way, here's some SSRI drugs to make things go better for you. That's what was happening to our veterans.
To add to the mix, Professor Eric Karlstrom, who's an expert on the issue of targeted individuals, he says that he thinks EMF is capable of changing people's sexual behavior.
Well, we don't know. I mean, I could say, oh, that sounds like a conspiracy theory, but hey, look, my mind's open to anything these days because of the crap that they have in those vaccines, the graphene oxide, the lipid particles, I mean, all the other stuff. Yeah, there are a lot of people saying that with the graphene oxide and the nanotech that's in there, they are directly or could well be directly affected by the 5G towers. So we don't know. We don't know. But the bottom line here is that the powers that be are screwing with us. Anyway.
A major pharmaceutical executive said at a conference that was recorded that they were using the vaccines to install an operating system.
Yes, correct. That's exactly right. Yeah, Catherine Austin Fix has been saying the same thing. Even Tucker Carlson's been talking about this. It's starting to hit the mainstream. Anyway, going to have to wrap it up here. We only got a couple minutes left. But thank you as always for your contribution. You're right. But I contend, folks, that this issue with the sex trafficking and the pedophilia and the satanic cults and the worshiping and the bloodletting and the cannibalism, all this, I promise you, if we focus in on that one issue, a lot of the others will fall right into place. They really will. I believe that this is the source of the extreme evil that we're dealing with here. And I got one more clip here. Let me see. It's only about 50 seconds long. This is a House Oversight Committee Democrat of all, Representative Stansbury. And again, I'm playing this because this is not a partisan issue. Give a listen.
We know that there are more than 36 associates, family members, and individuals directly associated with Donald Trump named in those files.
That's right.
Now, there are now at least 9 or 10 other countries across the world that have opened investigations or forced their leaders to step down because of their mere association with Jeffrey Epstein. And the United States government is engaged in an active cover-up of the largest sex trafficking scandal and influence peddling scandal in the history of the United States, and Donald Trump is right at the center of it. And the person who is living to provide the evidence, who knows what is going on, is trying to invoke the Fifth to buy her clemency.
That would be Ghislaine Maxwell. She is set to testify, but she's come out and basically said that she's not going to answer any questions and she's going to plead the Fifth. And yes, this is not a partisan issue. Yes, both parties are involved. And yes, justice will only be served if we will face the fact that this is not about partisan politics. Both Republicans, Democrats, liberals, conservatives, red, blue, left wing, right wing, they're all involved. Every damn one of them. Every single one. And we will only find justice if we can step away from the partisan politics and quit playing into their ploy of right versus left. And I've been saying that for a long time. The powers that be, they want a revolution. They want, the right to go against the left, a horizontal conflict. That will solve absolutely nothing. It's not right versus left or this way and that way. It's bottom to top. So put on the armor of God, get busy in your neighborhood, and understand that there are evil monsters among you. Got to find out who they are, expose them, and bring them to justice. And if you can't trust your Justice Department, well, we're going to have to figure out another way to do it. Maybe tar and feathering or something, or maybe, I don't know, old school. You figure it out. All right, that said, that's going to wrap it up for the Monday edition of the WTF Reports. I'm your host, Dave vonKleist. Thank you for listening. Do some business. Pick up a Wave Watch. You'll get a real good discount if you do. So, anyway, that said, I'm out of here. God bless you all, and I will see you tomorrow.